Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe has a special place in his heart for Africa, and that's why he's made dozens of trips to the continent over the past 2 decades, mostly on humanitarian and faith-based causes. It's there, in the impoverished nation of Ethiopia, where one of the people who have a very special place in his heart was born. She was found abandoned in an alley as a newborn, then taken to an orphanage where she was nursed to health. It was at the time that the senator's daughter, Molly, and her husband, Jimmy, were looking to adopt a girl. Well, I spoke to Senator Inhofe and his adopted granddaughter, Marie, and I spoke to him earlier about this very heartwarming story. Senator, you for a number of years worked for Africa and causes there, but then something very special happened. Your daughter, Molly, who I've known for many years, in fact, knew her before I knew you, she and her husband, Jimmy, said they were thinking about adopting and might be interested in adopting a child from Africa. So how did you react when you first heard that news?
Well, I was very excited about it, Mike. You know this, but our audience doesn't. I spent 15, 20 years in Africa. It was more of a mission thing up until 9/11. So we have brothers and sisters, people with whom we're very close and intimate, all the way through sub-Saharan Africa. But I knew nothing about adoption. That's my first experience. And what's interesting about this is that I became so interested in the difficult time that we had in getting this job done with our little Marie that we formed an adoption caucus, and Senator Landrieu from Louisiana and I run that. So I knew very little about it, and they asked me about it, and I said, "You're asking the wrong person." So we had to do our own research.
But you had some friends in Ethiopia. You contacted them, and they helped you get the process started. So talk about what it was like to go through that.
We had a friend, our brother in Ethiopia. His name is Tekle Selassie. Now, that's an Ethiopian name. We all know about Haile Selassie. And he called one day. He had gone through an orphanage in Addis. And he looked over and he saw this little girl. She's about a week old and real tiny and not doing very well. And he walked in and he said, "That's got to be her." And he called me that day and said, "We have found this little girl." But you have to keep in mind, by our standards, those are very orphanages. They have, in this one, they had 2 different rooms, one for those who are not thriving and one that were thriving. And those that were thriving could have avocado and milk. Those who were not thriving just got milk. Well, she was not thriving very well. But that was how we originally got in touch with her and knew immediately that little Marie was going to be a granddaughter.
Well, Marie, you are a beautiful young lady. It is just a delight to have you. You've been told about your process of adoption, and now you're in the United States. When you think about adoption, tell me what that means to you, and what kind of personal joy can you have in knowing that so many kids have to be born into the family they're stuck with. Your parents looked all over the world and picked you on purpose. That's got to make you feel pretty good.
It does. It makes me feel really good. But I don't know. It's a really good feeling, and I just think it's something that all kids in orphanages should have.
Well, you're blessed to have a wonderful family, and my friend, your grandfather, Senator Inhofe. Senator, tell me about the first time that you actually saw Marie, because I understand that Molly and Jimmy went to Ethiopia. They were able to get Marie there, but you met them in Europe and saw your granddaughter for the first time there. Tell me about that moment.
Well, Governor, we wanted to see her while it was still in Ethiopia, and it didn't work out. We actually were going to land there once, and for security reasons couldn't do it. So I never saw Marie until, as you said, the adoption was in process, and we were going back to the United States, and my daughter and husband, we met in Germany. And I saw this little girl, and I knew immediately when I saw her, Marie was going to be our granddaughter. I had no doubt about it, and it's one of these things that is just, you hear about a match made in heaven. Well, this was made in heaven.
All right, Marie, I got to ask, it's Christmas time. Tell me what you're hoping happens for you this Christmas.
This Christmas, I think I'm really looking forward to putting up our nativity scene that my great-grandfather made. So.
So he actually made it?
Yes, sir, he did.
Sounds like a wonderful family tradition. You know, it's interesting that when I asked you what's going to be special for Christmas, you didn't tell me something that you wanted for yourself. You talked about doing something as a family and honoring Christ on his birth. You know, it's obvious that the family that you've been placed into and that has chosen you is a very special family. Senator, I just want to ask you, tell us about why adoption is so important, and would you encourage other families to consider the process?
You know, Governor, there are hundreds of thousands of young families around the country, here in America, who want to adopt. They know how difficult it is. And I have a website, inhofe.senate.gov, and we kind of help people out in this adoption process. And this adoption caucus that I mentioned to you, we're trying to make it easy. Unfortunately, there are all these obstacles out there, and many of the young people, in Africa particularly, if they're not adopted, some of them don't even live. So it's a process it's a beautiful process, and it's a rewarding one. Anyone watching us now who's ever considered an adoption, particularly an adoption from Africa, it's an experience you'll never have any other way, and you will be richly rewarded for it.
Thank you, Senator Jim Inhofe. Anne-Marie, God bless you, and have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. Senator Inhofe is going to join us on next week's show to talk about the problems the Obama administration's environmental regulations could cause for businesses in 2013. Up next,